There's a tunnel behind the wall. That's what agents say they found at 4:12 a.m. A narrow passage leading to a command desk, weapons, and 6 kilograms of heroin in a home that looked ordinary from the street. What happened next was not ordinary. A SEAL team-style sweep lit up Koreatown, Hollywood, the Valley, and a warehouse near Vernon. Watch how a hidden corridor became the switch that flipped a multi-agency takedown, and why encrypted videos, forged docs, and front businesses across LA pulled the thread on an empire. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. A normal hallway, a hollow sound behind the drywall, and a latch no one was supposed to find. That's how the entry crews mark time at 4:12 a.m. The house is quiet, warrant read, body cams rolling, and a team moves in step. The bookshelf on the left doesn't sit flush. A thermal sweep shows a hot line near the studs while the rest of the wall runs cool. The floorboards in front show fresh arcs where something heavy pivoted. They check the base, feel the air, and tap the seam. The latch gives with a low click, and the wall shifts an inch, heavy but not sealed. The hinge fights them. It feels loaded, like the weight of the unit sits on a hidden pin. A pry tool opens a gap. They snake a fiber camera into the dark and watch grainy shapes swim past the lens. Cable bundles, a junction box, nothing else. Then the mic picks up a faint fan hum. Not HVAC, a smaller pull that suggests airflow into a concealed cavity. The team cuts the power to the nearby outlet, kills any chance of a trap, and works the hinge again. It finally clears, and the bookshelf swings wider to reveal a slit of space. Behind it, a narrow corridor runs the length of the wall. Fresh dust sits on the sill like it was disturbed hours ago. Conduit runs shoulder height with cable ties cinched tight at short intervals. Not a contractor spacing. A motion sensor sits on the upper corner, but someone taped it over. The kind of fix that forces manual resets to avoid auto alerts. The air moves cool and steady toward the far end. The floor shows a single set of shoe prints in a light track of drywall powder. Heel turns close to the corner. The corridor opens into a small room built to work, not to live. One chair sits square to a curved monitor. A segmented keyboard with macro strips lines the front edge. Keys worn on the left bank. A radio scanner on the shelf cycles local bands, pausing on security frequencies and unlicensed chatter. The printer tray holds partial forms. Top halves of IDs and intake sheets, nothing complete. Always the parts you can stack and finish later. Under the desk, a power strip feeds a small rack unit with labeled ports, the labels torn and reattached more than once. A steel drawer to the right is locked. They run a quick shim and pop it. Inside are 2 pistols, spare magazines, and 6 vacuum-sealed bricks. The field kit comes out. Reagent vials change color fast. Indicators point to heroin with high purity, not street mix. They bag each brick, note weights, and mark chain of custody. Above the drawer, a portable drive sits next to a cable snaked into the tower. The screen pulls a directory with a vault app. File names show as strings, encrypted, but the thumbnails reveal ledger pages. Timestamps line up with late-night logins in the past week. On the desk, a yellow sticky note lists 3 initials, a call time, and a cross street that lines up with a warehouse row. A burner phone on the same pad lights on the minute. 5:02 a.m. group ping, repeating same label each day. They pull the SIM and mirror the device on site. The scanner sweeps again and stalls on a brief burst from a handheld, then clears. The payoff is simple and direct. The hidden corridor leads to a working command desk, weapons, and 6 kilograms of heroin. That discovery flips the switch. Warrants queued across the city move from pending to active. Comms light up, teams check in, and the silent room becomes a map. With the corridor confirmed, the playbook shifts from one address to a grid that spans the streets named on that sticky note, and the routes hidden inside those ledgers. One alert goes out, and 4 neighborhoods wake up to breaching ladders and synchronized entries. Radios stack with short codes. Doors pop almost at once. The first minute looks the same in Koreatown, Hollywood, the Valley, and the warehouse row south of Vernon. Flashlights crossed low, hands on shoulders, and the same count at every threshold. The grid is live. Teams split by role, not ego. FBI analysts feed addresses and timing. The same vault timestamps pulled minutes earlier now guiding which unit hits first and which holds perimeter. DEA pushes the narcotics playbook. Precursors, stash layouts, and the rinse and repeat packaging that tends to hide inside janitorial boxes. ICE builds the trafficking vectors. Transport patterns, intake points, and movement between front businesses. U.S. Marshals lock down apprehensions and fugitive leads, riding point on anyone known to bolt. Each stack carries a target list with doors marked for knock, breach, or hold, and each has a secondary address for spillover. The radio plan keeps channels clean. Each neighborhood runs its own net with a command tie-in to avoid crosstalk. Then the friction hits. Koreatown calls a guard rotation out of rhythm. 2 men swap posts 10 minutes early, and a third shadow hovers near a side stair. Hollywood spots an extra vehicle nosed into a back alley, plates occluded with road dust, engine warm. In the valley, a handheld spits a short warning about cleaning out a safe and drops silent. Supervisors adjust on the fly. One team slows their entry to tail the floater on the stair. Another blocks the alley with an unmarked SUV to pin the car. The Valley unit bumps the timetable by 30 seconds and pushes the door before the safe goes light. Near Vernon, a loading bay sits chained, and a forklift is parked to kill the angle on the interior. Pallets line the wall with shrink wrap stenciled as construction supplies. A scale team flags weights off by a few dozen pounds per stack, too consistent for error. Bolt cutters go to work on the chain. The forklift rolls a foot when they pop the brake, just enough to slip a wedge and clear the lane. Inside, aisle 2 shows fresh drag marks where something heavy slid, and a false wall glints with sheet metal screws that don't match the factory head. Seizures fall into an old pattern. Drums labeled as industrial degreaser test hot for meth solutions. Detergent boxes dump counterfeit pills tied with clear tape and lot codes never used by the manufacturer. Tool cases rattle with vacuum-sealed cash, bills sorted by denomination and wrapped with rubber bands that match batches seen in prior advisories. The prints, the packaging, even the tape brands line up with smuggling notes circulated months ago. This crew learned from the guidance, then copied it. Back in Koreatown, small rooms sit behind a fake wellness partition. Women sit quiet on cots. Each carries a laminated medical card with the same font, the same stamp position, and signatures that repeat strokes across IDs. Intake notes list the same doctor number that never connects. Advocates move in with blankets and water, and the interview schedule starts. In a back office, a ledger sheet shows vendor names tied to shell companies that appear on the drive pulled earlier. Wire transfers line up to the minute with the timestamps on that vault. Courier nicknames match the routing on the sticky note. But now each name links to a plate, a schedule, and a route through 6 warehouses. Payment histories keep looping to the same security firms and licensing intermediaries, month after month, fees disguised as consulting. That is the shield. Fronts on paper, forged support documents, and state-aligned gatekeepers who waive shipments and smooth permits. Coordinated warrants crack it by removing the timing advantage. In minutes, the network loses safe rooms, staging bays, and the quiet carriers that keep routes alive. With seizures underway and victims stabilized, the next move goes to the layer that kept approvals flowing and doors unlocked on schedule. That corridor was a switch, not a secret. It linked a desk to routes, roles, and revenue streams, then pushed synchronized warrants that stripped cover from fronts in minutes. Ledger timestamps, courier paths, and those warehouse waits locked into one pattern and turned the lights on across the grid. If you want deeper briefings on how teams track forged documents, licensing intermediaries, and warehouse masking, subscribe and tell us which angle to break down next. We can unpack root audits, ID forensics, or scanner tactics. Corruption hides in plain sight. Accountability starts when more eyes learn the markers and call them out.